When it comes to using DNA in your family history research, do you ever feel like you're working really hard and you do some research here and some research there and explore your DNA matches, but you aren't making really the progress that you know you could? Well, Diana Elder, Nicole Dyer, and I have helped come up with a solution for you. We've developed a process that can help you research your DNA and family history like a professional. As you incorporate this method in your research, you will make real progress toward your research objectives and may break through some brick walls and solve some family history mysteries. To develop the process, we started writing blog posts and developed a study group, and we worked with the process with many people. And then we pulled it all together in a book, taking the things that we've learned and adjusted, and we published the book on Kindle on Amazon last year at Roots Tech. And the print book was published in November. This video is sponsored by Family Locket. I'm Robin Wirthlin, a DNA specialist at Family Locket. And Diana Elder, Nicole Dyer, and I are excited to share information with you on our website. So you can go to familylocket.com/rootstech to learn more about our products, and there's also free content on there that you can download and use in your research. When we worked on the book, we were so excited to develop some educational opportunities. You can learn a lot from reading our blog posts, and you can join a study group each spring to work through the process along with other people so you can get peer feedback. And also there is an independent study online e-course that you can take, and we are having a special during Roots Tech. There's a coupon at the end of the presentation that you can use and get the coupon code to get a discount. And then finally, we have the book, which is available on Amazon.com. So the steps in the Research Like a Pro with DNA process correspond to the chapters in the book. In this video, I'll share a case study that illustrates how to use the Research Like a Pro method, and it will help to identify previously unknown ancestors, break down some brick walls, and help me make progress in a challenging research project. So the first step is take a DNA test. There are 5 major DNA companies that we use over and over. Ancestry DNA has the biggest database and the best family trees. 23andMe shows DNA segment information, and it has a reputation for having the best ethnicity estimates. You can take the raw DNA results from Ancestry DNA or 23andMe and transfer those to MyHeritage, which has a large European customer base. And you can also transfer it to Living DNA, and Living DNA has a specialty where they can break down the ethnicities down into sub-regions in the British Isles. And then you can also transfer it to Family Tree DNA, which has excellent tools and some fun things that you can do to analyze your DNA and find other people who share your same ancestors. So as we go through this case study that illustrates how to use the Research Like a Pro with DNA process, then we'll be talking about the search for a man's biological father. In this presentation, I'll call him Dan, which is a made-up name. It's not his real name. So to start out the project, I first looked at the DNA match list to find relatives who had taken a DNA test. The red boxes here on the screen show where you can look at the amount of shared DNA in centimorgans, and you can see a possible estimated relationship that the DNA match may share with the DNA tester. Then take the amount of shared DNA and go to the Shared Centimorgan project at DNApainter.com. This fantastic program allows you to enter the amount of shared DNA that you share with a match, And then it will bring some pop-up boxes that show some possible relationships that you might share with that DNA match. Another great thing is that there is a box that shows the probabilities that, in this case, Dan and the DNA match share in specific relationships that are indicated. So this close DNA match shared 476 centimorgans, and I got a variety of possible relationships that may be shared with the DNA match. By taking that information and building a family tree, I can start to discern the possible relationships, and I can verify things that I can verify the family connections with genealogical documents. So the next step is to organize your DNA matches visually in diagrams and family trees. So I love DNA2Tree. It's an app for iOS, and you can separate your ancestry DNA matches into groups or clusters of people who share DNA with you and with each other. And this helps you to really break down and see, you can focus in on a family line. You can start to discern that which family lines people are related on. Another fantastic tool that's out there that you can use are Gephi network graphs. And I use data that was gathered with the DNA GEDCOM client. So the DNA matches who share DNA with Dan and each other are gathered in colored clusters. And those clusters help me to focus in on people who share a common ancestor. So some key things that I discovered was I found that a key DNA match actually shared DNA with people that I wasn't expecting. It wasn't very clear, but with this network graph, I was able to see where they were and then rearrange the lucid chart that I'll show you on the next page. Lucidchart.org has charting software that I love. This charting software is really intuitive, it's easy to use, and you can build custom charts that include primarily the DNA matches and their direct ancestors. Sometimes our ancestors have had huge families, and so it gets tricky to show every single connection that is out in a family, and it becomes very unwieldy. With a lucid chart, you can build a family tree and include just the DNA matches so that you get a better visual, and you kind of cuts through all of the information that's not relevant and isn't going to help you at this moment. So I made these charts, and I was able to just figure out from comparing the family trees that were related to different DNA matches profiles, and as I did research, I found census records and other records that mentioned other people, and I was able to figure out this family structure that went back to a couple who immigrated to America in the late 1800s. So that was all I could figure out was Matthew J. Burke married Eleanor Burke, and they had children. So the next thing to do was to create a research objective. In a research objective, you combine the key identifiers of name, date, and location. So for this research project, I had the objective that this research project aims to use DNA and documentary research to identify the biological father of DB, or Dan, which is also a made-up name, who was born on 7th of January 1936 in Chicago, Cook County, Illinois, to MK, who was also born in Chicago, Cook County, Illinois. It's really important as you do research to write source citations. You want to be able to record what you found, where you found it, so that you can retrace your own steps. And if you're doing client work, so you can show the client where you got the information. Even if as you're doing research for your own family, it is still really important to keep track of those sources. And this book and our e-course and the study group show you how to make citations for documentary and DNA sources. And you really, a very wonderful formula is to think of who created the source, what is the source, when was the source created, where is the source, and where in the source is the item of information found. So, the next step is to gather your sources. Gather everything that you know about the project, and gather together documents and put everything in a timeline and analyze what you've got. So we love to use Airtable at Family Locket. It's a great database, online database software, and Nicole Dyer has developed some templates for research objectives and DNA research that will really help you and help you keep track of information. So I made a timeline, and I could see that I was missing some big chunks of information. The next thing I did was create a locality guide by gathering information about Ireland, because I knew this couple had lived in Ireland, immigrated from Ireland. I gathered information about records, the laws, historical events, and I added links to websites and record collections that would help me in the research. Then I made up a plan to do research. I identified key record collections and prioritized them and prioritized the DNA tools that I would like to use in the research. I kept track of the research in the research log. I was able to add images of the documents, the citation, the results, and other information to the research log to help me to analyze, correlate evidence, and pull it all together. So nearly the last step is to correlate the findings and finish the research report. So while I was researching, I located a marriage record for Matthew J. Burke and Eleanor M. Burke that listed both of their fathers' names. Amazingly and ironically, both of their fathers were named John Burke. I can't wait till the next phase of the research so I can discern which records for John Burke in County Tipperary, Ireland belong to each John Burke, and maybe many other John Burkes that live there. But that should be a fun and enjoyable phase of the research. So this research and locating that marriage record, which no one in the DNA Matches trees had, or no one who had built a tree that was connected to their DNA profile, none of them had this information. So I broke through a brick wall there, and it was exciting to go back another generation, and I have new avenues for research in the next phase of the project. And in another part of the family, I also broke through many brick walls to add an additional generation. And then I added an estimate of where Dan, not his real name, could fit possibly into the family. We have a challenge here in this branch of the family that we have one DNA tester who's in a more distant generation who shares more DNA than her uncle who was in the closer generation. So I'm exploring to see, how do these families connect? What's the real deal? Is this one DNA match related on both her mother and her father's side to the research subject? It'll be interesting and exciting to figure that out. So, and the final step was writing the research report. So, as I researched on this, I wrote up information and I correlated the information, added the citations, added future research suggestions, and pulled it all together. So at our familylocket.com/rootstech page, we have a list of all of a variety of free products. There are research guides that you can download. You can learn more about our classes and the books and the other other products that we offer. Here are some of the products. You can see the two Research Like a Pro books. and we have the e-course and study group. You can access the Research Like a Pro genealogy podcast also from this page, and gain access to professional research services. Another thing that we offer are DNA process trees in PDF or laminated charts. And these process trees guide you through the steps from taking a DNA test all the way through completing a research objective. Remember that we have our online course that's independent study, and the coupon code is here on the bottom left of the page that you can use to get our Roots Tech special of the independent study course for $189. So one of the challenges of publishing a book that has information about using DNA in genealogical research is that it can become outdated almost as soon as it is published. So to overcome this challenge, we have a dedicated page on the FamilyLocket.com website that has articles and resources that will be continually updated with new DNA tutorials and techniques. So we are endeavoring to keep it current and help you have access to the latest, greatest ideas and techniques that you can use in your DNA research. Also, after you purchase the book, you are eligible to join our private Research Like a Pro with DNA Facebook group. Just email a copy of your receipt to info@familylocket.com and you'll be able to join this Facebook group where you can ask questions and learn more. So here's a copy of the DNA process trees. You can use these to guide you through your research. It has definitions and other information where you can find more and learn more about using DNA in your research. So check out our Amazon best-selling book, Research Like a Pro, a genealogist's guide to finding and confirming ancestors with DNA evidence. We look forward to connecting with you. Come on over and send us some messages, and we would love to